The Tale of Three Villages. Once upon a time, there were three neighboring villages, each developing its own economic path over the centuries, inspired by real historical events from around the world. Equalopolis adopted communism, prioritizing collective equality and common property. Protectopolis followed national capitalism, focusing on protectionism and self-sufficiency. And Econopolis embraced capitalism, emphasizing private property and free markets. Protectopolis followed national capitalism, focusing on protectionism and self-sufficiency. And Econopolis embraced capitalism, emphasizing private property and free markets. Each evolved with strengths and limitations, reflected in conditions of nutrition, health, entrepreneurship, and governmental dependence. In Equalopolis, inspired by 19th century ideas such as those of Marx and Engels, the residents abolished private ownership of the means of production. Their historical milestones included critiques of the Industrial Revolution, the 1848 Manifesto, the Paris Commune in 1871, and the Russian Revolution of 1917. The expression communism derived from common. In recent history, capitalist elements would be mixed in, but with dependence on governmental permits to undertake business. In cases of bankruptcy, there were risks of imprisonment and state confiscation. Basic access to health and nutrition guaranteed vital minimums, but crises revealed profound contradictions. If people were already living at the minimum, additional reductions caused severe scarcity. Disparities between the political elite, tourists, and the local population were evident. Monthly salaries of $30 limited comprehensive consumption options, generating a dependence that perpetuated structural poverty. In Protectopolis, residents combined capitalism with a focus on self-sufficiency, a movement that emerged in the 19th century with thinkers like Friedrich List. Their milestones included protectionist policies, the coining of the term in the 20th century, and practical applications in industrialization processes, such as in Brazil during the 1930s, 1950s. In the modern era, they prospered with state interventions supporting entrepreneurship, which elevated conditions of nutrition and health, balancing private freedom with national protections. However, commercial isolations occasionally limited access to global innovations and diversified products. In Econopolis, based on capitalism that emerged in the 16th century with mercantilism, residents prioritized private property and free markets. Their milestones included the 18th century Industrial Revolution, Adam Smith's ideas in 1776, and global expansion in the 19th century. The term capitalism emerged around 1850. Contemporaneously, they prospered by allowing independent entrepreneurship with bankruptcies manageable by the market itself, improving access to diversified nutrition and innovative healthcare. Although inequalities persisted, social mobility and growth opportunities were substantially greater. In the villages, each system evolved with strengths, logical limitations, and debates about autonomy versus dependence, reflected in real historical examples. Over time, residents of Equalopolis, facing scarcity and growing restrictions, began migrating to neighboring villages in search of better conditions, carrying with them their convictions about collective equality. Some settled in Protectopolis, advocating for greater state control, which generated heated debates and small conflicts about how to balance national protections with individual freedoms. Others migrated to Econopolis, where they attempted to disseminate ideas of radical redistribution, creating tensions in local communities that valued free entrepreneurship. This migration illustrated a persistent human tendency. People move in search of prosperity, but carry with them entrenched views, frequently generating friction when trying to replicate what didn't work in new territories. A cycle of persistent ideas that challenged harmony, even when evidence pointed to obvious logical failures. As the years passed, the three villages faced a great crisis, a prolonged drought that tested the resilience of each economic system. In Equalopolis, already operating at existential minimum with absolute state dependence, Reserves were quickly depleted, leading to severe scarcity and disparities that limited any capacity for recovery. The necessary governmental permits delayed critical individual initiatives. The village entered total collapse, and its leaders, recognizing the structural limitations of the system and population pressure, switched to Econopolis's capitalist regime, adopting free markets to rebuild the devastated community. In Protectopolis, the balance between state protections and private initiative helped mitigate the crisis's effects, although commercial isolations limited access to crucial global innovations. In Econopolis, with its emphasis on independent entrepreneurship and free markets, residents innovated rapidly. They created resilient trade networks and developed advanced irrigation technologies, ensuring diversified nutrition and accessible healthcare, prospering despite the system's inherent inequalities. In the end, Econopolis's system, with its free trade promoting autonomy, innovation, and sustainable development, emerged as the most effective for the region. This inspired the other villages to adopt elements of open markets. Protectopolis approached prosperity by complementing its policies with greater commercial openness, while the former Equalopolis, now transformed, learned valuable lessons about the limitations of excessive state dependence. Despite migrations and conflicts generated by persistent and maladapted ideas, free trade prevailed, boosting general welfare and demonstrating that economic development flourishes when the freedom to innovate and trade overcomes centralized rigidities. Thus, the villages, finally united by solid economic principles, prospered collectively, prioritizing what promoted the greatest growth and welfare for all inhabitants. In a world where history is being rewritten, someone needs to stand for the truth. Welcome to the Patriot, where we uncover the real stories of honor, courage, and sacrifice that built great nations. I'm here to take you on a journey through history's most defining moments. On this channel, you'll discover the untold stories of heroes who shaped our world, the principles and customs that forged powerful civilizations, historical truths that challenge modern narratives. If you believe in preserving real history and honoring those who came before us, subscribe now. New videos every week. Let's keep history alive together.